Hello there, I'm Laura Young. Hello there, I'm Laura Young. Welcome to my part 3 series of Woman to Woman. I'm excited with having you here, and I appreciate anyone who's taken time to listen. I have some fun stuff to share today. So, what is this wildest but wisest action that I say you absolutely have to take if you want to be happier, if you want to become unstuck, if you want to let go of the struggle? You have to start somewhere. Now, what I'm asking you to do really is put your courage to the sticking place a little bit and go against some cultural norms. Nobody is going to stand up and say, oh, Bethany, or oh, Emily, or oh, Laura, you really should do this for yourself to be happier. So what am I asking you to do? Where to begin? It doesn't matter what step you're on. We all reach down and reach up. We're all on the steps somewhere to change, to making some shifts. Sometimes if we make a little external shift, there is a large internal shift, and sometimes vice versa. So what I'm asking you today is more of an external shift, but it will have a seismic effect on how you feel about yourself at an inner level. So what is it? What is the wildest, wisest thing I ask you to do? Okay, what I'm asking you to do is to rebel. Now, rebellion tends to have a negative connotation in our culture. I'm not talking about rebelling with fury and anger. I'm talking about reflecting, really looking at your life and seeing what places you're stuck because you're following rules that were passed down, maybe consciously or unconsciously, by your mother, your aunts, your grandmother. I had a beautiful young woman come in to see me and tell me about how she agonizes any place she has to go socially because she was indoctrinated in her family of origin that, one, you never leave the house without makeup. This young woman, she should be, she was beautiful. Anyway, she didn't need makeup, but she believed she did. But some of that belief was sent down to her through the ages where, mother always put makeup on before you go public. Grandmother had that, anyway, she was getting almost like obsessive compulsive about trying to decide on the right thing to wear now that she was out from under their influence, where apparently for years they had told her what to wear, like pick this is better for this situation. Anyway, one thing you need to know about rebel is there's two parts to it. Rebelling in and of itself is not sufficient. Rebelling against is half of it. The other half is you need to have something there to go towards. If you remember, in the 60s, women were very, very angry, and rightly so, about patriarchal assumption that we were subject to their whims, or, it had been passed down patriarchally for centuries, so we're not blaming the men of that particular era, but the women got angry enough to rebel. Now, in this case, the anger was justified, and they had to make a big step into the public. If they had sat around the stage, and said, we want change, who would have listened? So it took drastic measures. The bra burning got a lot of attention, but they needed attention to really have enough people listen for a shift to occur. However, in a lot of cases, they didn't go full circle and go towards. Some did, but not so many, especially the younger people who were rebelling against family, church, community, and kind of used drugs, not kind of, but used drugs often to dampen their anxiety about what they were doing. I have come across many of these people midlife where they have gone maybe 180 degrees, but not the full circle of 360 where they got fully free, and they come back midlife and they're unhappy and they're wondering what's wrong. But part of it is some of them slid back into the family way of doing things after they had tried their wings and accepted again the status quo, which is not working. Each generation has a chance to do it differently, and we don't fit in to the status quo of our ancestors, and neither should we. And if we have enough courage, we really need to look at where we're stagnant all by ourselves and what we need to do to change it. So, speaking of rebelling, it doesn't have to be a large Neiman Marcus moment. You don't have to do what the women did in the 60s. You don't have to do what the young people did in the 60s. You can do your own small version of rebellion and go towards something you dream about, the kind of thing you think about with longing and say, if I only could. I'm here to tell you you can, and sometimes a few little small shifts starts an inner tapestry of inner permission to start doing it your way. Because there's only one you in the whole universe, so how can what people pass down fit you? It doesn't. Now, I'm not asking you to rebel in a dangerous way. We do need our rules, our safety rules and protection. It's just that there's so many rules slid in that tend to normalize females into staying stuck in a place of one down or a weaker place because we have not been encouraged to step up to the plate, to find how to create our own personal power with our willingness, with our creativity, with our compassion, with our with our intelligence. A lot of that has been dampered down. So going towards a small shift is kind of like you need to reflect and find that small shift that will make a difference for you. For one person I saw, it was like breaking away from the family religious belief that said, do not wear any top that has a neckline more than 4 fingers lower than the collarbone. Now, I mean, that's pretty rigid and pretty amazing that that's still going on. This is a young woman, okay? She decided she was going to break that rule. She was going to rebel against that rule. And she started defining how she would like to dress, the colors she would like to dress. She wasn't really flamboyant and in their face, but it seemed to be that way because compared to the rigidity in the family, just the audacity of her stepping out and saying, I will no longer be, imprisoned by such rules. Another young woman who, again, it was a religious background where no dancing was allowed. She loved to move. She was into her body. She was into yoga, and she took up dancing. She took some dancing lessons just to see if she had a rhythm, if she really could dance like she felt in her bones sometimes, and she could. It was one thing, but it was a major shift in terms of how I am going to be in this family. Another woman who was divorced after making a poor choice in a partner decided that regardless of what her family, who were pushing her once again to find a rescuer, we'll go into that at a later time because that's a myth, to take care of her, she decided to break the family rule and to find enough strength to choose who she wanted, to make a list, the pros and cons, yes I do, no I don't, of what she wanted in a man. And she was a spiritual woman, so she took it to meditation and prayer, and she decided to choose. And she felt quite empowered by that. Her family were aghast, but as far as I know, she's still happy. She didn't give in to the faulty beliefs, and she rebelled against the family way of doing it. So I have had to, in order to get where I am today and to believe in myself to this extent, and of course, we're never a finished product. We're always a work in progress. I had to break many rules, not just one or two, but many. I had to get enough courage after coming from a background of restriction and be invisible and be seen and not heard. And who do you think you are, Laura Beresford? Stop that blushing. No one is looking at you. I mean, years and years of restricting my natural exuberance and brought me, to a point where if I was going to have any kind of life, it had to be some choices and I had to break some rules. So with that, I've been getting some good feedback, and one of the criticisms is that they'd like, a couple of people said they'd like to be able to plan on my presentation on a regular routine and know what day and time, and I'm working on that. I will pick a time in a day where you can depend on me bringing up every week a tip for you, woman to woman, that maybe it'll be small, maybe it won't be to you, but it counts that you make some steps towards shaking up the status quo. And that's a little wild to consider. It's not the wildness that's edgy or dangerous like hitchhiking, but it is, you are risking people not liking you. And these people could be your very own family and close friends. So it is risky, but there's some risks you cannot afford not to take. And let me finish for today with an example. For instance, had a client who grew up in a family that said, stop that doodling and get to work. Stop wasting time. You need to prepare for a real job in life, and that doodling will get you nowhere. If you push on that, you will be a starving artist. Anyway, this woman gave in. She was young and vulnerable, and gave in to the family pressures to be a certain way. She became an accountant. She's probably a very good one, but she was And it's a very good career for a lot of people, but it wasn't for her. She was, at heart, she was an expresser, an artist. And so she came to me, late 30s, I think, and she said, why am I not happy? I have things in my life that people would, die for. I have affluence, but I'm not happy. She had to find her way back to that inner child, that part of her that wanted to express. She had to find the courage to leave an established career and start over. And women are pretty good at that. Men have more trouble with it because they have trouble being beginners, if you ever noticed that. Especially if they have expertise in a certain arena. But this woman was willing to start over, and women often are, which gives us a real step up in claiming our personal power and having influence in the world. She started over, and it didn't take her long because she had some good connections, meaning people she had met through the years who were kindred spirits, not necessarily her family, but kindred spirits who encouraged her every step of the way. So if your family does not encourage you in steps you take, and they're probably not going to encourage you in rebelling, find a non-biological family. I've had two, and it works really well. Find kindred spirits who feel the same way as you do, and find people who will encourage you no matter what you're going through. So for now, good luck on getting out of the stuck places. Start one thing. I'd like to hear from you. Laura at liferesourcecenter.net. Laura at liferesourcecenter.net. Tell me what you're going through. Tell me what you'd like me to address. I am going to address another secret, another tip, another way that women's power get taken away at an early age, and how to reunite with that 360-degree little one who wants to be fully present and fully alive in the world. So for now, bye-bye, and I look forward to talking with you again. Bye-bye.